everything we heard from Joe Flacco in his first interview with the Cincinnati Bengals. Starting off right away, Dylan Fairchild was just observing yesterday, while Dalton Risner is getting reps at left guard before team periods. So if Fairchild can't play, Dalton would be left guard. Right guard would be either Jalen Rivers or Lucas Patrick. Ironically enough. Flacco is expected to speak with the media for the first time following practice. He did that, by the way. Here's what he had to say about keeping the Bengals in the playoff hunt. He says, "I sure hope so. That's why I play football for. Hope to elevate the Bengals as much as I can." He does say, "I just feel like I have a lot to offer a football team. I put in a lot of work to get to this point, especially in the NFL. Obviously, Joe also winning a Super Bowl, many, many, many playoff appearances, taking Cleveland to the playoffs of all people. So that's a special thing." He says, "I just feel like it's part of who I am." Joe Flacco. I didn't take care of the ball as I wanted to. That's probably the thing that stands out. Great chance to prove the opposite. Joe Flacco in his first 4 weeks. And again, we went through his first, all his interceptions. Were they all his fault? No. 2 of them against us were really just the receiver not catching it and tipping it up in the air. So you can't really even blame him for those interceptions as well. And then the rest of them, some of them were kind of questionable, but still better than Jake Browning. Flacco says his wife helped him the other night reading out plays and formations. She's actually a pretty good rhythm to it, Joe Flacco. Okay, hear me out, okay? Jake Browning sucked, right? What if Joe Flacco's backup is his wife? Now, I know that sounds crazy, but Jake Browning was that bad. Like, Jake Browning really, really sucked. And in all honesty, I don't know if we go for Russell Wilson. He came in on that Eagles game, and it was atrocious. He threw one bad pass. Giants fans pretty much booed him out the building, right? So, I'm just saying, if she's really good at knowing the plays and reading out the formations, either backup quarterback or head coach. She'll probably be better than, she would be better than Zach Taylor. She'd be better than Zach Taylor, so why not? I've spoken to Joe, and of course he can be a resource. Joe Flacco in conversations with Joe Burrow. Some of the concepts are similar to what I just came from. Joe Flacco. Jamar Chase, as we talked about yesterday, was ill on Thursday night. It's officially, he's questionable. Dalton Risner will be left guard if Fairchild can't go. Fairchild is also questionable. Zach Taylor said Joe Flacco hasn't been overwhelmed this week, which I think a lot of the reasons why he hasn't been overwhelmed is because he's a veteran quarterback, This is not a guy who's a rookie or is, brand new. He's played very, very much in the NFL, so, and a lot of different systems as well. He's played for the Eagles, he played for the Broncos, now the Bengals, the Ravens, the Brownies, like, you name it, Joe Flacco has been there and done it, right? So, this is a situation where this is not a brand new thing for Joe Flacco, which is exciting because, it's not Jake Browning, who was really freaking atrocious. Shamar Stewart is doubtful, which does suck. And if you're wondering about Jermaine Burton, he's out. Every week, he's out. If you ever wonder, well, when is he coming back? He's not. He's out. There's no reason to question it. No, on the real note, we have literally gotten zero update on Jermaine Burton. Like, it started at the beginning of the year, like, oh, yeah, he's hurt. He got hurt in the last preseason game. Whatever. After that, nothing. Crickets. Crickets, to say the least, on Jermaine Burton. I don't know, like, again, nothing negative. Nothing has come out negative, and trust me, if something was negative, they definitely would come out by now. Nothing. Just absolutely nothing. Reporters aren't asking about it. Zach Taylor hasn't spoke on it. Nothing. Which kind of scares the crap out of me, man. Because I'm like, I really want to, get somewhat of an update on Jermaine Burton, because I really thought this year he was going to have a great year. And he just hasn't played. And everyone, has been so quiet and just to themselves about it, which isn't really crazy for the Bengals. That's kind of typical Bengals, when it comes to information. We could not get any information about Zach Moss last year until like the end of the year that he had how severe his neck injury was. They were very tight-lipped about that. Then there was that whole thing with Sheldon Rankins' eye. And even then, we still never got an official update from anyone about that. Like, there was speculation and there was inside reports and stuff. But I don't think I've ever heard Zach Taylor talk about that situation with Sheldon Rankins' eye. Like, he had a bad eye infection and crap, and not a single update about that. So, again, like I said, it's like there's some times where, you just don't get an update. There's just nothing about the guy. Guy comes in, guy's not playing. What happened to him? We don't talk about him. It kind of feels like some dictator countries, when someone goes missing, you just don't talk about them anymore. And that's just kind of the, assumption that they're no longer with us. That's kind of how it feels like when it comes to the Bengals. When someone is not, playing or no update on them, we just don't talk about them. Like, are they okay? Are they going to come back? We just don't talk about it. So, it is what it is. Tell me down below your thoughts and opinions. It's gonna be a fun game, man. It's gonna be a very, very fun game. Peace.
I was tired. I would have drove down myself, but they were nice enough to kind of take us down with me. And Zach got on the phone with me a little bit, just kind of going over some of the basic things that they had kind of had in for this week. And then honestly, I kind of crashed a little bit, with my wife next to me, and just got a little bit of rest. We just got back from London, and waking up is easy, but at 8 o'clock I was hitting a wall. So it was nice to be able to just kind of get a little bit of rest on the drive after talking to him for a little while.
Did you and your wife have a moment where you looked at each other like, what, is this actually happening?
I think the last couple of weeks we've had those moments, A lot of the times when you're going through things as a player, you just adapt. You go with it. I think with everything in life, when things happen to you, you just all right, how do we go forward? What's the next step? And it doesn't really hit you too hard. But the people that care about you, they almost wear it on their sleeve, all these different emotions, more than you do. And I think that's how it's been over the last couple of weeks. So honestly, when this ended up happening, I think there was a little bit of excitement from her, and yeah, we looked at each other and were like, well, what the hell? But you could see, I think it was ultimately excitement on what the future holds.
Joe, it's very early in the season still, week 6. Do you feel like you're stepping into a situation where you can be a guy that can help this team stay in the playoff picture, in that playoff conversation?
I sure hope so. That's what I play for, is to win football games and help everybody be at their best. And I hope I can come in here and give these guys my best, and elevate us as much as I possibly can, and see if we can win a few football games.
What have the last couple of days been like for you since you found out you were going to be a Bengal?
I'm sure you could imagine a little bit chaotic, head spinning a little bit, but just trying to come in here and have an open mind and figure out what we got going on. So,
how much of what you are going to do offensively, what Zach wants to do offensively, do you think you got in this week for yourself?
How much of our game plan do I feel comfortable with? I think he's done a good job of kind of being able to figure out what direction to go, and I I feel like I've done a good job. I mean, it's a little bit different to call because some of the terminology is a little bit different. I think that's the biggest issue is just kind of making sure I get in and out of the huddle the way I want to. I think once I break the huddle, I feel pretty comfortable. It's just a matter of getting in and out of the huddle and, just continuing over the next couple of days to make sure I can get even better at that.
What was your initial reaction on Tuesday?
Crazy business.
Yeah.
You have to be ready for anything. That's kind of what it was. Definitely didn't have this on my list of things that were, going to happen. So, but hey, that's this league, and I'm a player. I think most players would say the same thing. I mean, I like to play football, and if that's in Cincinnati right now, then I'm all for it.
You get to play. You obviously get to throw it to Jamar, T, and the rest of the line. It's just the thoughts on those guys.
Yeah, well, obviously, I mean, everybody, can see what they've done throughout their careers and the kind of players they are. I think it's exciting for anybody to kind of go out and see them play. So when you're the guy that gets to throw to them, it's just another level.
Whether it's the game plan, logistics, new faces, what's the biggest challenge this week?
Well, the biggest challenge is probably still just the Green Bay Packers, and the team that they have. They're a confident team that plays good football. And, I think all the other stuff, you can use as an excuse, but we still have to go play a football game on Sunday, and they're the ones that stand in front of us.
How much is the fact that you played them only a couple of weeks ago, and they've only got one more game on tape since then?
Yeah.
How much does that help?
Yeah, I mean, there's probably a little bit helpful. The fact that you've been able to watch them on film and kind of see what they do, and then actually go out and play against them, and kind of see how physical they are, and all that stuff. I still think, just like any other football game, though, it's about kind of focusing on ourselves and what we can do best.
Quarterbacks that have been around a long time, like you have, like to use the expression, I know all the answers, or I know most of the answers. How does that help you coming into a situation like this when you see so many things but have to process them very quickly?
I think in this kind of environment and in this situation particularly, I think honestly I can get in trouble kind of thinking I know everything. I think the best way for me to do it is just keep it simple. I think a lot of the times when you've played a lot of ball and when you've been around a lot of ball, you can get to the point where you overcomplicate things and you're just making things harder on yourself. So honestly, I think my experience in this regard is going to help me in the sense that I don't have all the answers. Just keep it simple. Go play football, and I think that's the best way to kind of make sure that we play consistently, stay ahead of the chains, and do all those things.
What was the